There seems to be confusion that because I married my affair partner, I won some type of prize. A happy ending of sorts. I won a second marriage, you guys. Marriage is no prize. You want to know what the prize was? Me.
Welcome, brothers. Today we continue with the second video about unfaithful women, offering advice and sharing their adventures in marriage, or some discussing how they were the mistress of a Chad, how happy they were, and what that meant for them. But before we go any further, brothers, we want to ask for your support in our goal for the coming months to reach 50,000 subscribers. We want our family to keep growing, so support us with your like and subscription. Don't forget to leave us your comments. Without further ado, let's get started.
You're having an affair because it's flattering. You have those butterfly feelings and you're feeling really good about yourself because after all, someone's interested in you and it feels great. I want you to understand you've got it all wrong. You're not the one that's being flattered. They are. Because every time you respond to their text, respond to their phone call, are willing to see them, they are the ones saying that they're flattered because they know they've got it and they've got you wrapped around their finger.
Brothers, many women, after they stop being the other woman or being mistresses, want to give negative advice about it. They say things like don't do it, you'll be used, focus on your marriage, find a single man, or don't do to another woman what you wouldn't want done to you. But do you know what's common in all of them? They all want to give this advice after hitting the wall, because we all know that the wall is unforgiving. After hitting the wall, they are discarded by these men. Many realize that they gave their best years to Chad. When the time comes to escape from this relationship, it's already too late. They realize things like the man never left his wife. They understand that despite the benefits they got from him, they never got the ring. Some simply failed to start their own family. Let's be honest, if everything at home is going well, if you have a woman who cares for and attends to you, I want to clarify that I'm not saying it's right to cheat on your partner. I'm just making the point that a man will not leave the woman who has been fighting alongside him for a woman who only offers moments. But in some cases, the wife is left, as we will see in the following video.
Part 4 on how my mom went from being the lover to being a kept wife. After my dad had fully decided to stay with my mom, divorce was filed, and within 6 months, he was officially legally separated from his first wife. My dad took all the debt and all the financial burden from the first marriage. He fully supported his ex-wife financially. And this was actually the one trait that my mom loved about my dad. He was extremely responsible and understood commitment. And even though he might have not been physically there with his baby girl all the time, she was well taken care of financially. But the damage had already been made. My mom felt like the other woman. She was pregnant with his kid. And now since my dad is divorced, they had to figure out how to pay the entire debt from the first marriage. Mind you, they weren't married. But there was one thing that my mom wanted, most of all, a family. So for 3 years, all her checks from work would go straight to my dad so that my dad could pay off the debt, afford child support, and could pay the bills for our household. But during that time, my mom also pushed and motivated my dad to continuously get promoted. And because my dad always wanted to impress my mom, still to this day, he worked his way up to the point where he was debt-free and could afford keeping my mom at home. But before doing that, he wanted to get married to my mom. But my mom did not want to get married to my dad. After seeing all the things that she saw, she thought that marriage was the worst thing. But because she loved my dad, she said, fine, but I'm not doing a single thing. And sure enough, that was the green light my dad needed to get all the paperwork, get her birth certificate, get the marriage packet, schedule an appointment with the county clerk, and make marriage happen. Literally, my mom says that all she had to do was sign her name and put the date and say I do, because my dad handled everything else. And I know what you're thinking. Once a cheater, always a cheater. Well, I don't know. You're going to have to go to part 5 to figure that out.
Brothers, the mother went from being the mistress to the wife. In other words, she was promoted within the company. They upgraded her position and benefits. This woman amuses me a lot because she contradicts herself so much. She lives by selling the message of how to get a high-value man, and she's the daughter of an affair. She tries to portray her father as a high-value man. So, her advice is, if you can't get a high-value man, do what my mom did. Take him from someone who isn't taking good care of him. Technically, this isn't something that doesn't benefit the man, but since feminists want to make us suffer, doing everything like a man, Imagine a young and beautiful woman telling a man, "I want to destroy your marriage." Just like men do under their patriarchal right to be with married women. Now I'll do the same and be your mistress. I don't know what to say. Would you be angry about that decision, brother? This makes it clear to me that a woman prefers to share an alpha man rather than settle for a beta man. This woman knew he had a wife, yet she got pregnant, waited for his divorce, supported him financially, and stayed with him. This is when I tell you that when women are in love, they do everything for their man. Therefore, if a woman doesn't treat you like the best option she can access, brother, get out of there. That woman doesn't want you. She wants your resources.
He was extremely responsible and understood commitment. And even though he might have not been physically there with his baby girl all the time, she was well taken care of financially.
Can you imagine saying that a man who is married and is having an affair with another woman is extremely responsible and committed? Or trying to say that it is okay for a father to be physically absent because he's financially supporting? This girl contradicts herself like every other sentence. When we talk about a high value man, it is a man with integrity, a man with morals, a man who is truly committed and respects his partner. And women, a man that truly loves you is going to be your peace and is not going to be picking and choosing between you and his wife.
Brother, if a woman positions herself as the mistress of a man, then who am I to judge her? The problem is that all women want high-value men. They all want the best man. And since everyone wants him, this man is in high demand, sometimes even more so when he's married. Here comes the law of pre-selection. Women like men who are chosen by other women because these men carry a sort of approval stamp, indicating that they bring something to the table. That's why you see women dating womanizers or chads, men who bring nothing to the table but their seed, and yet they give everything to these men. Why? Because every woman wants the bad boy desired by all, to say that he changed for her. But a man who brings in money, has good looks, owns his house or apartment, and has a nice car, what woman wouldn't want him? This man is synonymous with providing protection and care. Women seek security. That's why I always say it's easier to get an attractive woman than a high-value man. High-value men are scarce, and that's why women even agree to share them, for years, just to feel they have a high-value man. That's why you see that 20% of men on Tinder are dating 100% of the women. Is it the fault of men or the standards of women? I'll leave that for them to figure out.
Could happen, might happen. Even if it does, I am super grateful for where I am today. I'm very happy with him. This horrible, vile man and vile old me, he did the greatest thing. So I had to switch cars with my mom. We were carpooling to LAX and she left her car at the office. This horrible man took her car, got it detailed, did a full service on it, and dropped it back at her house. Horrible. What a horrible guy. I can't believe I'm with such a horrible guy.
So I'm afraid to say this whole situation with that girl that I stitch has now brought me onto TikTok mistress page. I don't know. I really want to get out of it because I am just not ready to start, analyzing people at all. But this girl has social disorders. She also has sociopath tendencies. And let me get into sociopath tendencies for people who don't know. This isn't just a regular search up on Google. This is actually by knowledge in school. But they have a deceitfulness. It also says it has a lack of empathy, also a irritability, because she states that her therapist is totally fine with their relationship. Let me just tell you, I don't believe anybody who says their therapist agrees with them, knowing that the therapist cannot reveal the truth, because that's patient confidentiality. So even if she's saying the therapist would ever come on and say that she does accept it, it's a hocus pocus, because real therapists cannot divulge anything, even if it's set by the patient. You can't just be like, hey, yeah, go share it on TikTok. I'm totally fine.
Brothers, as I said, who am I to judge? That woman is very clear about being a conscious mistress. She knows she is the other woman and has no problem with it. She is happy having that man who provides for her financially, and she gives him love and affection in bed. She plays her role very well. What I don't agree with is the spreading of her message. But at least this girl doesn't have a boyfriend or husband whom she's cheating on, because many of those who criticize her are likely wives who have cheated on their husbands but get upset when their man has a mistress. As I always say, if there's a market, it's because there's a demand. This woman is creating the TikTok of mistresses, where many women are joining in. Many speak and comment that their life is better being the other woman. Others mention all the benefits they get, even single mothers saying they have financial support and don't have to take care of the man. So she is really normalizing this. That's why I've always said, a woman's worst enemy is another woman.
With it. They have ethical morals that they have to follow based on their practice. So if they have a private practice, okay, sure, they can do that. But why would you want a therapist to be on your side on social media? Like, that's really weird. But when you have sociopathic tendencies where you lack this ability to comprehend, which is what is she doing, and lack the ability of this deceitfulness that she has in this diagnosis and stuff like that, and how her personality like splits because she feels that this is necessary, this is part of her life, this is part of a grander scheme of the image. She displays coherent behavior of a sociopath. And you know, one thing that you cannot do with a sociopath is tell them that they're wrong. It's like talking to a narcissist. You can't tell a narcissist that he's doing something wrong because he will never or she will never think what she's doing is wrong. No matter how many times, no matter if you go into jail, they won't think they did anything wrong. They're saying that they're innocent, that they're placed in a facility because people don't like them, that the odds are stacked up against them. They will always think that they did nothing wrong. So her closing her stitches, saying her therapist agrees, I highly doubt a therapist is going to agree with some of that, because the therapists themselves have a higher quality of morals and ethics that they have to follow. Not all therapists do this, okay? And your therapist, if she's willing to go on air or on TikTok or on social media to help you divulge truth, that therapist should not be trusted, because therapists even hide your case files for police. Like, what kind of therapist you want that's going to go on social media and tell your business? Therapists are due for law and proceedings until they have a search warrant, until they have a subpoena. You won't get a therapist to talk. So the situation here is very fishy, and I just think she's just saying whatever she wants to say to admit that she doesn't care what anybody thinks.
I believe this woman is trying to link two unrelated issues. I can understand that a woman who is a mistress and has no shame wants to become famous through controversy, but to label her a sociopath just because she's involved with another woman's man is a stretch. Then, by that logic, many women who are now wives but were once mistresses would fall into the same category. Moreover, as I always say, if there's a market, it's because there's demand. This happens with women in their 30s, women who have hit the wall and can't achieve the traditional family. They become desperate for a man, seeing men who bring something to the table as the ones they never had. Let's be honest, there's nothing more jealous and envious than a woman. They see these men as objects of desire. These men see a woman desperate for a man and won't waste time playing their cards. Once these men have been intimate with her and confess they are married, she has three choices: leave him, continue with him, or tell his wife in revenge. But as I said, if the man brings a lot to the table and starts to fill the role of the husband she doesn't have, of course, they stay with him. Leaving him would mean starting to look for something new. And with how bad current dating scenarios are, of course, the woman stays in the hope that he will leave his wife. Is it bad? Of course, it is. Is it immoral? Absolutely. But he's not putting a gun to your head to stay with him. It's you who must take responsibility for your actions. But as this is kryptonite for women, in the end, it's the man's fault. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. What does history think about the woman who became a wife? Whose fault do you think it is when a woman decides to be a mistress? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from The Wall.